Guess we're good.
I didn't bring my coffee tonight, Bill. I wish I had. Yeah, me too. But I didn't drink it last night because of the mask.
Yeah.
One time I took a sip and I felt uncomfortable. And then I left my coffee cup here last night. So.
There's a K-cup thing. I have K-cups if you want.
Oh, is there? Yeah.
Turn it on and I will get one, but it takes a while to heat up. I assume it's not safe. Walter, would you like a cup of coffee?
No, thanks. Be up all night.
I don't know if anyone really needs an agenda. They're not very. Let's go for it. One of the ambulance write-offs,
Yes.
and printed one for everybody.
Thanks.
And I didn't know if anyone would have their stuff printed out, so just printed it.
What was the amount of premium pay that we approved last night?
50 cents? Oh, you mean the total?
total? Yeah.
The total? I can actually tell you that. I actually printed this out too, in case,
The one thing I didn't write down.
it came up. It tells what we've approved and what we're using so far.
Thank you. You're on it, Terry.
I tried, but I don't know. Sandra called about 2:30 with some questions. Asked her to email them. She did. Do you have your print out there?
Yes.
I can't remember what else I printed out. Walter wanted the monthly report, so I'll give you those. Paper cut. Oh. So like a workers' comp claim. And that is the slowest coffee maker ever. Band-Aid on and get blood everywhere.
Got my booster today.
Oh, did
Yeah, I'm still not gonna act like I'm invincible.
I don't think, I don't know. I got the Moderna,
So did I.
but. So you can get the booster, a different booster?
I got the Moderna booster.
Really?
Yeah, they're out there already.
I did not know that.
Yeah, CVS has them, so does Walgreens.
But you're supposed to have, what, 6 months? It's supposed to be at 6 months?
Yeah.
So I still have April, May, June, July, August. I can get them now, I guess.
I had mine in April too. I'm just gonna get myself set up. How's your eye, Walter?
It is stable at the moment, but if it happens again, what happens is that the cataract lens is scraping against the iris, and the eyeball's filling with blood.
Yeah.
So if it happens again, then we'll have to take it out and put a new one in.
Yeah.
Which is an easy surgery.
Oh, yeah, well, I
Hello.
suppose.
Hi.
Well,
Where am I supposed to
you can sit wherever you like.
As long as it's not the head of the table, I'm good. I thought I might be late. Guess not. How was it on the water? I wasn't there. You got a good view of it. Yes, we pretty nasty. We get another day off tomorrow.
Spencer's
Hello.
Yeah, it's gonna be okay. He's got it all bandaged up.
And he went down and saw a specialist.
Oh, little boy.
So they cut all the dead skin off. My grandson, put his hand on the hot water radiator. And he's just not quite a year old and he just burned the palm of his hand. I couldn't believe it was that hot. But yeah, it was the baseboard. And,
Tender skin though, too, right?
yeah,
Young, yeah.
Hey, Beverly.
Hi, how are you?
Didn't you?
Good. Awful little print in there. Awful little. It's like a sweet stuff. Yeah. Good idea. Hello.
Kate won't be here. And just, she had a booster shot and doesn't feel good.
She has the same disease as piling, huh?
Are they getting boosters? They're out.
They just, they said they were gonna start.
I got mine today.
Did you? Where?
Walgreens.
Did you have to make an appointment?
Yeah.
Was it like days out or?
So I did it on Wednesday. So I got, but then on Thursday, I booked Barbara. And the earliest she got was Friday. And, well, they're booking into the first week of November now, so there's lots of being bundled up.
My problem is I don't know what I would do a day away, so it's hard for me to.
Did you have Pfizer or Moderna?
Moderna.
Kylie had Pfizer, but she was down in South Carolina and she didn't have any problems with the first dose when she had her booster in September. It was pretty bad.
I felt lousy after my second shot for about 24 hours.
I felt good.
Yeah, some people do
My
something
husband did not. He was not happy with me.
I feel lousy when I get a flu shot.
Yeah, Barbara had a tough time with the second Moderna. Was also crabbing at me because I skated.
It was your fault.
We are being recorded, just so everybody knows it's going already, because
Oh dear.
wondering how to set it all up. You show how it looks on there? Oh, I know, I've got minutes. You can look on that one and we'll show you how it looks. Hello.
Hello.
It was really good watching it, and the sound was quite good. Yeah, for full volume.
You can sit there or you can sit over there. It's up to you. I don't bite. He might.
I kind of got a mask on.
Huge difference. In a public forum here, it's not Zoom.
How is everybody? Good. A few big trees. Did you really? Yeah. Branch. Someone's car. We're going to the car, but it's done some serious damage. Yeah, we had the apple tree just to go up like 15 feet. Another big tree went right down on the tip. They're fine, but me, John had a lot of work to do with fencing today. Hello. Oh, how you doing? Your place is looking beautiful. The landscaping, the rock wall, the paint job.
Haven't had dared look after all that wind to see what's happened outside.
I think the door was shut abruptly on gardening season today.
Kidding.
Yeah, I won't say so. We have a tree that it's almost like it's been you know, put together from all the type. Oh, it's all graphic. Yeah. And so, he's got no bark, no nothing going on, no leaves. The other side, is fine. And I go, okay, so how come that one is still standing when it looks so ill? And we had another tree not this time, but a gust of wind at some point, all of a sudden it fell over. And then a really beautiful one out front. Oh, that was a few years ago. Why? I just don't like, because to our view, they look healthy. You know, it's like, wow.
That goes back far.
I know, yeah.
No.
Yeah, there's nothing magic about the chairs that you got. If you want to trade it for what any of them that are out there.
There's
it's more
a
comfortable.
big trees down in the big,
It doesn't matter, we'll
Yeah.
that.
but right down on the fence. And then this tree came down, but the
Yeah,
goat house is
yeah,
right here and it missed it.
Now, did you have baby goats this year?
Yeah, we have 5.
Wow.
I didn't get out to see them. Is it granddaughter? Granddaughter. Yep. She's gonna be going on kid. Or she's got a good memory. On Sunday, she's gonna be in here. So we just celebrated our little granddaughter.
John's coming to visit
So,
tonight.
and I know it wasn't too
No,
long
no.
after that. Oh, well.
Camille, oh, Camille.
Yeah, there she is. Oh, a couple weeks ago when she was here.
It's like warm. Oh, I know, but
That's so cute.
I think that,
We're down to 7. And one is.
Table.
Kate's,
Well,
who's the 7th member?
Camille.
Neil, that's, thank you.
Well, I just figured that out with Sandra.
She just trying to form a finger. Oh, look at all that hair. Wow. Pretty cute. So we got to see all of my grandchildren this weekend. Wow, that's great. Yeah. How many do you have? There's 4. Here's the other 2. Here's 2. The other one is in front, actually. He's just 2 months old. Wow. Oh, yeah. Fun. It was, and we had gorgeous day on Sunday. It kept beautiful. I got my mowing done. I really had to get that done. We weren't home to get anything done, but that's okay. Sometimes it's nice to get away, too.
Probably not.
Yes, it is. It's not necessary, I think.
Just the old folks that went ashore and saw them. Scott was watching Harlem up today. I went up
You didn't have any problems
later in the day.
So, no,
Did you have any problems with
the
your
upside
boat?
down one. I was down
no,
to
no,
Snow
we said
Park.
harbor, just kind of what it is, straight
A sailboat. They got it out, but
over the other side of the
It had a
air. it's not
top.
very good.
it had a cabin, it's gone. And then it looks like there's
in Rockland Harbor.
just one
Sandy Beach.
by
and-
arches that
Yeah,
are
there's 3 boats came ashore
Yeah.
there.
still,
I wanna sailboat and one of the watch.
it's really pushed up against there and it's not moving at all. It was
Well,
so
it
weak.
happens.
Yep.
And the mast came undone.
Hey, John is not joining us, so I'm the designated hitter. Someone call the meeting to order. And defer to Moira's call the budget committee to order.
Budget committee is called to order. I just wanted, some of you didn't know, Kate emailed and said she was not feeling well, and I don't know what happened to Camila.
Okay, so let me cover some significant events, just to get everybody up to speed if you're not. First of all, we've received the first tranche of ARPA funds, 85,000 and some change. And thus far, we have allocated or donated $5,000 to the Knox County Clinic, $5,000 to fund the internet utility feasibility study, which was authorized by town meeting. We've done 18 $200 vaccine incentives as of a week ago, but there may be more.
There's 5 people who had their first one, but they haven't come back.
So it would be up to 23. We expended $1,700 in legal fees, which was associated with the work with the Broadband Coalition. $3,425 for this owl to improve our broadcast and our audio, and the TV is soon to arrive. And last night we authorized $54,427 of premium to pay to our employees who worked during the state of emergency. Excuse me. 54,427. Is that what I have here?
Was that a percentage right across the board, Walter?
It was, it worked out to 50 cents an hour for the hourlies, and then John backed into an equivalent for the stipend people.
What was the question?
How much we were for the stipend?
What's this 54?
12,579.
12,579. What's,
54 is what we've got left to spend.
okay,
The remaining
yeah,
54,420.
is our balance.
That makes
Sorry,
a little more
That's
sense.
From our first half, we should get a second.
but that won't be until a year from now. Thanks, good catch.
I was gonna say, wait a minute, I don't
That's a
remember
pretty
that.
I didn't remember it
Pretty
either.
nice.
I didn't know we had that many employees.
So preparations, there's a large number of volunteers who've been working at Guilford Butler painting, cleaning, and doing other activities in preparation for the move. We are awaiting the authorization or the permit from the fire marshal for the official move. We have received permits from the Army Corps of Engineers and the Natural Resources Organization for the Island Road renovation. We sent out construction easement letters today. Bids will go out shortly, and with the best case return by December, with January ending the worst case. We applied to the county to cover our $37,000 budget shortfall. Without that, we're not exactly sure what we're going to do.
How do you apply to the county? Do they have a-
They sent out applications for us to apply. We considered that to be legitimate use of ARPA funds because COVID delayed and caused the budget overrun.
Yeah,
So,
the county got $7.7 million.
It's coming from those funds.
well,
That was our request.
that was our request. That's very much in doubt.
And without that money,
Pardon?
and without that money. it
Without
is-
that money, what we may do is take the bids, declare this a shovel-ready project, return the grant to northern borders and reapply in a year. The alternative to that is to go to the town for the 37,000. I think it's probably safe to say that 37,000 is just the beginning of an overrun. Since the 37,000 is based on the original estimates. And we got the second estimate 6 months ago. So I don't think things have gotten less expensive.
Yeah, you don't know.
And the other alternative is to use our funds.
Aren't they just what?
Our hookups covered. So we do have options for covering, rather than giving them like that.
Okay, we don't have a CEO. And that's causing some, we do have a backup, but we have gone out with a new approach, packaging assessor's agent, the CEO and health officer, and raised the pay. And we have had no applications. So, anybody wants to go get certified to be CEO, you can come shoot a slot. Anything else of significance?
That's pretty much covers.
Okay, I'll start with revenue as and kind of do a review of where we stand. Revenue is in really good shape. If you look at automobile excise, it's budgeted, this first one I'm gonna call out. 530,280 is the budget. We've collected so far 346,291. That's a trend that's would end up well over 600,000. 692 to be exact, if the monthly trend for the first half of this budget cycle repeats itself. I think it's safe to say that we're going to hit the number that we're budgeted. Homestead exemption also is likely to be over, except it's formulaic. We think that
It's what?
it's formulaic.
Yeah.
So
I think it'll be fine.
okay. Ambulance billing trending at over 100,000. You can see that we've almost in half the year matched the budget number. We'll get to it.
Doing some backfilling or just how many, when I saw the number and I did send in some questions, like how many has she done in ambulance runs and some.
Well, she's done 195 calls, which is 42% more
That's almost a
than
year.
the same period last year. So that's part of what I'll jump to there. Their wage line is going to be over. The question is going to be how much. Certainly the wage overage is going to be covered by the incremental revenue, for sure. But it's impossible to predict. And it really comes down to how many off-hours calls there are, since we're staffed 7 by 12. And that's built into the budget, and that's easy to predict. What's unpredictable is the off-hours calls, and who takes them and what their hourly rate is. I'll jump to your other question. Supplies are over because of new rules that were applied to what they have to have that occurred after she did the budget. So those are two of the major spending risks. Brian's wage line is trending over budget. Fire chief, which is interesting because his calls are in line with year-to-date last year. I think they're 4 less actually. And the explanations for that are more folks showing up for calls. Are the calls taking more time than he would have thought? He hasn't really delved into that analysis as of yet. And he's pretty good, as you know, at holding things back in his total budget to accommodate for any overage. He has a contract and purchase services overage. Kind of jumping around, I apologize because I jumped to the expenses. he has a purchase services overage, which is related to the fact that the tanker truck has had serious problems and expensive repairs. And I think that the parts that were needed to repair that were not available anywhere in the aftermarket. And so some clever guy at the service center fabricated or put several pieces of something together to create a Band-Aid. I think we're in the same position with that tanker truck that we were 2 years ago when we had to buy the ambulance unexpectedly. And he's talking about 2 trucks in 3 years. So that's significant expense looming on the horizon. So that accounts for his overage and his contract services or purchase contract and purchase services line.
Thank you very much
Sure.
for providing these. It makes it really great.
So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Everything else is pretty much on track and in line.
It really was when you look at the numbers. It was just a couple of things. Other people have questions?
I had a couple of questions just because there's so much I don't know. On the revenue side, there's a new line, payment in lieu of taxes. How does that happen?
You want me to take that over?
Yeah.
It's not really a new line. I looked that up after I talked to you. Maine Heritage Trust owns 2 pieces of property. They own one on Bartlett Lane and one on Philbrook Lane, and they are tax exempt. So therefore they don't pay taxes to us. So in lieu of taxes, they give us a little bit of money, and this year it was $2,000.
And it's just something that they do because they want to?
Yes. So it's nothing we can really count on, and if
Right.
they may decide, well, we're just gonna give them $1,000 because things have been crazy, or they might say, wow, it's been a really great year, maybe we'll give them a little bit more, maybe they'll just do 2,000 until the end of eternity, I don't know. So it's not really anything you can predict to put in our revenues to say, we are gonna get this.
I get it. It's just, it's just, as I said, it's just that I don't know.
And your other question was about personal property. That's,
Yeah.
we've always got personal property tax, but it doesn't have anything to do with this whole budget part. It's when we do the commitment with the real estate taxes, that's all part of that. And it's figured at whatever our mill rate is. So it isn't anything the budget committee ever has.
It's business,
Really
it's for
doesn't-
businesses, property,
Okay.
business equipment. So
But
they're
the-
taxed,
Oh,
they're taxed at the same mill rate as our real estate tax.
But to give you an example,
It's not personal, it's not.
but if you were running a business in this town, that there's an tax on the desks and the
on
chairs,
your equipment.
on your equipment, and that's what it is.
Okay.
And so you have to file your taxes on that.
Okay, but that would be something that we could more or less predict, right? Because I didn't see it when we worked on the budget in the spring. I didn't see that. I couldn't find a line for that.
Because it's part of the real estate commitment, and it's nothing
We
that we
don't-
really discuss in the budget process. It's
So,
the commit.
so
the
it was
commitment
in
that
there
board
in
does.
some other line?
No, you don't have any.
It wasn't,
information on
it wasn't something that we take control over or whatever advisory on it.
Okay, so it's something that happens that they don't need our advice on, and that's why it wasn't in our stuff.
Correct.
It wasn't in our stuff either.
Okay,
We don't
It's
discuss
up to
it.
the individual businesses to file their personal property tax each year. And so it's gonna change all the time, and it's part of what they have
I'm
on hand.
just asking about things I
No,
don't
That's
understand.
fine.
No, that's all.
It's a good question.
And then on the state revenue sharing, on the stuff we got, it was 190,000, and on this, it's 215.
I believe at the time of commitment, after seeing the projected state projections for it being higher than we originally thought, the board
Oh,
put it
okay.
up to 215
Right.
instead of 190,
So that must have happened.
that commitment.
When is
Commitment is,
that?
commitment is when we commit the taxes in August.
Oh, so it's after.
So we meet with the
the
assessors,
Town meeting.
the assessors agents, because we're the assessors. And we can, we go through this exercise of looking at all the revenue sources, our budget, our assessments, and net out our sources of revenue and end up with the amount that we're gonna raise through property taxes. So the state revenue share changed. They reforecasted twice, they forecasted twice a year.
Mhm.
And I think we were looking at 196,000 before, when we did the final budget. By the time we got to commitment, that had increased. And that
Going
showed
down.
up at the time of commitment.
Okay. And then my last question was just on this thing called discount. That changed from a credit of 3,500 to a debit of 5721, yada, yada. I don't know what a discount is.
The discount is the 1.5% that they paid on before June 1st.
Oh,
The discount,
oh,
and then,
Wasn't it moved to the end of June since we didn't have town meeting until the 15th?
yes, but then, yes, yeah.
okay, but that's what it is
The discount on your
on
property
your
tax,
property.
if you pay ahead.
But you have to pay the whole year ahead to get it?
No,
You have to pay whatever, if you come in and you've got an extra $500 and you want to put that on your taxes during that period, they offer the discount, then you get 1.5% on that $500.
Oh. Okay, well, that's interesting.
And then the revenue report, it will show up as a debit because we're paying it back. It's
Right,
The
it's,
opposite.
it's money we're not getting. Right, okay, those are my questions.
Actually, very good question.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All of us
Well,
are smarter than
you
any
gotta
of us.
start somewhere,
Sandra.
I'm gonna go back to the very beginning when you said a number coming from, I believe it's, is it the, what's coming because of COVID? That, am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, the American Recovery
That's okay,
Program Act.
okay. You, when I hear letters stretched, yes, sometimes I go, "Oh, what?" And you expect or hope to have another,
We're, it was half this year, half next year.
gotcha, okay.
So we got our first half.
For a total of about 170.
170,000.
Yeah, we got 85 this time.
And that, when they first put it out, you couldn't use it to offset normal budget items. You couldn't just apply it to your budget to decrease your taxes. I think the rules may have softened on that, but I haven't seen that for sure. But there are very specific categories that you can use the money for. You can't just use it for whatever you want.
It wasn't one of them like infrastructure, meaning,
Yes.
Roads, sewer, and broadband.
yeah,
Roads,
thank you. I was trying to go internet and it just wasn't coming.
Yeah, and things that you do to help through the pandemic, incentive phase, we can use it for
Mhm.
incentive phase. And we use it for the incentive for the shops.
Oh,
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, we're falling on our authorization to expend the funds
Mhm.
comes from in Article 31 of the town meeting, which enables us to expend funds that come from grants as we see fit. But we have a limiter here because of the rules regarding ARPA.
Yes.
So that's why we can, like Knox County Clinic
Mhm.
is a for sure. I mean, that's clear because it's a health,
Right, right.
organization. So as we go through we are expecting requests from the little, we have one from the Little Learners Daycare the gig store and from one of the other businesses to ask us to basically do premium pay or,
Mhm.
you know, hazard pay for their workers. So we expect that to come to us. And you know, those are legitimate ARPA expenditures. And we can authorize those based on what the authorization that you guys gave us last June.
And just to be clear, not all towns have that warrant article that authorizes the select board to expend grants. So a lot of the towns, that you'll hear this, a lot of the towns, for every ARPA expense that they dole out, they have to go to the town, have a special town meeting. Thomas, I think.
Thomastown is in the throes of that.
But again, we are not. Yeah.
Well,
I was on a church board, and it was kind of similar. Somebody gave a donation to a family member that had passed away. It was much easier if they said whatever is needed, wherever it's needed, most needed. And that was so much easier than if it was for camp counseling, very specific. And you didn't really have anybody doing camp, but you had a broken water heater. Yeah, so I understand that it's so much more helpful.
When do you expect the second half, sometime next year?
Next year,
Probably
same time
after.
as we got this.
Yeah, so it'll probably be after town meeting.
You got it in September, right?
Yeah.
So any town business can apply to the town to get a piece of that for their workers who work through the pandemic?
We have selected businesses right now to solicit for it. But I think probably once we get for sure that other one coming in, that might be the next one is, how was your business affected during this time period? And what kind of funds would you like? Now, what we have done so far have been very easy. You know, that some things are very clear or eligible. Some things are very clear they're not eligible. And so we've done the very clear eligible so far. I think as we get further down the road, we're going to end up in some of the gray areas.
That's where you want to be careful.
Right. I mean, two, we want to be careful and cautious, but at the same time, if we can do it, we want to do it. So I suspect that the legal fees associated with this may be greater for the second time around, because we're probably going to have to ask somebody other than our town attorney, somebody who knows this ARPA stuff better than most lawyers, to ensure that we follow the right path, because it's not just whether it's eligible. There's also federal strings that are attached. If you give it to a contractor, there's bid requirements. There's Davis-Bacon, making sure that if you're paying somebody that they are also paying their workers at the normal rate, and that they have that they follow all the other federal rules that go along with
All the
that.
hiring rules.
Yeah. So as we go further along, I think we'll end up with some expenses, which is eligible, the legal expenses associated with it are also eligible.
All right.
can you just give us information about, with all my questions about all the people at the Guilford Butler School, what they're doing, it'll help me in next week's meeting.
Yeah, I thought you did at the beginning.
Well, you just said that they painted and cleaned, but it was a general.
Well, I, the two times that I've gone to go check it out, there've been so many people there that I've been afraid to go in and interrupt. Have you been working there?
I have.
Okay, can you answer Moira's question?
We have laid the floor, we got 2 more we're gonna lay. 3 rooms are painted completely. We've done some artwork on the walls for the children's room and the hallway.
Somebody donated the paint.
Oh, yeah, there's been very little money that, we haven't dipped into the 20 at all.
Think
So
about
there's been quite a few donations coming in. for supplies and, we've had 6 probably helpers there at a time. Different various people, but generally it's 6, which is kind of a good number. Yeah. Had a professional helper, painter come and spent 2 weeks with us. He's still there, so, I'll never paint the same again. She taught us how to do it right. The places, I think when it gets cleaned up from all the drop cloths and all that, it's gonna look pretty spiffy. Yeah, all 5 rooms are being done kind of simultaneously. There's a children's library, adult library, community space, education space, and a maker's room. So all 5 rooms are utilized. 2 for the library, 3 for community.
They also had book sale or something, they had some sort of sale going on.
The sales are contributing to the expense, and there'll be, all of that will be congregated into, there's a little room when you walk in the door to the left, kind of long, with some shelving, and that will be the ongoing book sale.
Oh, no,
Teddy bringing in money.
and an exercise thing, I can't remember the amount, but Penny was really pleased with how much she had raised the weekend. Back September, I think, but anyway, it was really good, they did very well on the weekend for a Saturday sale or
Oh, for
something.
the yard sale.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, she said, that was advertised, that was an advertised sale. Yeah, that was very good, very well attended. Yeah, so that will be dissipating over time, probably quite quickly, actually. As that space is needed, that will be, a quick sale,
Mhm.
$5 bag, $4 bag, free, until that's just gone. But that's been a well worthwhile, venture for bringing in money. That's good.
And on the other side of it, we met about a month ago with the fire marshal to determine what was going to be required. He was a lot more optimistic about it than either I or John Hanson were going into it. In essence, he saw no reason that we would have to do any construction to move in. We wouldn't have to modify anything.
Not modify the bathrooms or the entrance?
Didn't have to. On John Hanson's recommendation, the select board has decided to do that. It's really kind of a show of good faith and because we want people who in wheelchairs to have access.
Right, but there's a law from 1994.
Except that it only applies in a change of use situation if it's a percentage of how much you are expending on construction. And we're not spending any money on construction. There is no cost associated with construction. If we had to knock down walls or put additional exits in any of the rooms, then that would have come into play because there would have been a cost and expense. But there are no requirements.
That's all.
Yeah, that's.
Because in 1990, and back then, when that law came in, I had to put ramps on stores in Bush, Alaska. You don't have a lot of wheelchairs, but we had to put ramps in North Alaska and Kotzebue to get so that we were within the federal guidelines.
Yeah, but the federal guidelines are only, the ADA compliance only comes into effect in existing buildings if you expend funds to modify it. Just like here, some of the things we did here caused us to have to do some modifications for ADA compliance. It's a percentage. I don't remember what the percentage is now. But he also said that the downstairs cannot be used for public access, but it could be used for storage. And the only thing he required for the stairwell is that door be locked. So our intention is to put a ramp on one of the doors, either the front door or the one on the right side, whichever one is easiest to do, and to make one of the bathrooms ADA. But that was, the fire marshal did not think that that would be a requirement of us occupying. So he actually told us that he thought by the end of the month, this month, that we'd be able to move in, but we haven't seen the official document yet saying that. As soon as we do that, then we have to go to the town, the CEO, and get a change of use permit. Which is
But you don't have a CEO.
well, we're using the one from St. George, and unfortunately, he's on vacation right now, so that's where we are on the back half of that, is that this became less complicated than John Hanson or I thought it was going to be. And part of it is because it's a temporary use of the building, and the building was being used as a school prior. So it's got, we don't have to put in sprinklers because it's got sprinklers. It's we don't have to put in an alarm system because it's got an alarm system. So he went through his things that have to be there, and those were already in there and still being maintained.
The other question is, we still have school lights in 15-mile-an-hour.
Oh, that's a good point.
Most are on both sides of the road, and it hasn't been a school for a couple of years. Is that the responsibility of you guys, the DOT?
It is
DOT,
Yeah,
but
but-
we shouldn't have those.
Yeah.
But you should get those solar panels to be able to use them.
That is a good point.
They should come down.
This is a little out of the, but it reminded me of it. 131, if you need signage, for some, I don't know, for me, it's blind driveway. Is that something that you have to go through the town for, or the state, because it's a state road?
And most signage,
Mhm.
even on town roads, require DOT approval. Like speed limits, warnings, they make, the state maintains
Mhm.
purview over municipal and some private roads as well. They have some oversight on those.
Yeah, we encountered that when folks wanted to reduce the speed limit on Island Road.
Put in speed limits.
And well, there was that.
That would have been good to go.
But yeah, I had a bad hour with DOT on that whole thing. They did say that there was an equal likelihood that they would raise the speed limit. And so why don't you leave well enough alone? Questions?
I don't think so.
Things that we can do better?
No, do you know just how much that, when the fire truck costs get fixed, have you got an idea? Because I remember,
It's in what they have
Brian
spent.
saying that on top of everything else, he hit the buzzsaw of, no chips being available, and therefore nobody would take an order right now.
Correct.
And when they did, it was gonna be substantially more expensive.
Yeah, because they imposed that before you could get it in, and they know that if it's after a certain time period, the rates are going to go up. But yeah, what they have repaired, band-aided is in there. Those numbers are already in the
But those
expenses.
are-
And they do have a plan for the replacement. What that Band-Aid did is got us to the normal replacement, got us a year. Next year was planned to be when that vehicle was gonna be replaced anyway. the fear was we were gonna have to do it a year early.
And if the Band-Aid holds.
And if that it holds, but it's looking like it's at least gonna get us into the new year. So,
Any other questions? Anybody else? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
I do have one clarification. I just want to make sure that I'm reading this correctly. If you look at the expenses, and it's down below the ambulance.
What line are you talking about?
That's the one. I'm trying to find. Ambulance billing is 452. The next line is 453, ALS reimbursement. Yes, on the revenue.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay, and so I'm assuming that we have gotten reimbursed from other towns for our use of the ambulance or ALS to the tune of $6,000, and we have not had to pay Rockland. Otherwise, it would show up in there as a debit.
We don't pay Rockland.
Oh, we don't.
We don't usually. I haven't paid Rockland in a long time.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make
We do
sure.
sometimes pay St. George.
Because it's a lower rate. St. George has a lower
Right.
rate.
And it would show up there.
We don't call on Rockland anymore,
All right.
especially because they went from 500 to 850 for fall.
No, St. George would show up under something else. The expense under England.
Yeah, the 6,000 is Vinyl Haven
Final Haven and North Haven.
and North Haven.
When we pay St. George, we pay them out of contracted services under ambulance expense.
Okay,
04, that's
yeah.
Vinyl Haven, North Haven, that's to pick up at the airport, I take it.
Yes.
That answers my question.
Did all your questions get answered, Moira?
They did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
just, when you're ordering a fire engine.
Just
it's
by
like
having a
mind-boggling to me. So,
Okay.
That's, that's gave the reason why the wages
Okay.
and stuff like that. Because I knew, because there had to be, I hear sirens all the time.
And the demo, another question about the demo with the stickers, that was
It's just like
that was the
truck
demo
I mean,
license.
regular. truck.
Oh, okay,
So
the lights,
computer-
okay.
Yeah.
Same thing.
But I wasn't sure, thank you, I can't remember all my questions,
I think
but majority, everything was pretty
we've
clean
been,
Yeah,
when I looked
And
at it.
shortage of personnel.
yeah, you can think of anything else.
So there's a whole bunch of things.
But I just,
If something comes up, you think of it,
really
just
is a
shoot me an
snowball.
email.
okay, I think he answered everything, and I also, it was nice to send it, so you had it all. Yeah, I like how you managed this, it was good.
Yeah, it's easier to know what you're gonna shoot at us.
But you didn't ask your annual question, Moira.
What?
We're doing pretty well.
yes.
What's the ambulance write-off?
It's not the end of the year.
Okay.
And plus,
Walter, if you had been prepared, she would have asked. That's the way that always goes.
Right.
Where are you predictable?
I'm trying to, but you know, it's like, I got my reports, which I really liked, and so I was looking at those. And then he answered most of the questions of what was going on with the budget.
Do we put their reports online?
Well, we committed to do that.
We can.
And someone who's not here right now, who shall remain nameless, never did it.
Oh, you
And
would like those? I can do that.
yes, we committed to put
Okay.
all the department heads reports online.
Okay.
And, yeah. Yeah, I think we should.
Okay.
Transparency.
Because among other things, we will get feedback to how to make those reports better.
There you go.
And I have to say, I only know where the reports are since I came here, but we'll put those online. Other than that, I don't have a clue what I might do.
Okay,
Yeah.
that would be helpful.
And I think that would be actually more appropriate.
Okay, I'll have Anna do that.
And
I move to adjourn.
Very quickly, just to make sure we don't get accused again of not communicating sideways, upways, downways, make sure all the department heads know that we are going to follow through on putting those
Wasn't a
online.
commitment from September of 2019.
Yeah, so,
I am predictable about.
Plenty of time for amnesia.
And how many calls there are, and the fires, and how many.
When you do that, let me know so that I can write to Rich Norton. We finally honor his request.
Did that.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great Thanksgiving.
It was nice to see everybody in person.
Yeah.
But I felt too was asking, can we meet in person or? we-
Yeah, it's a legitimate.
But I'm glad you answered the question.